In this video, we will demonstrate receiving interest revenue in UAN. There are three types of receipts you can enter in UAN: standard, interest, and memo. You should never enter interest earned from your checking or investment accounts as standard or memo. Always add an interest receipt for this type of revenue. Enough said. Let's roll on into UAN for some examples. Well, in training land, it's April and we have begun work on our March bank reconciliation. We haven't got very far. We've just entered our end of month bank account balances. Finishing up Star, Ohio right now. And as you can see at Buckeye Township, we have our primary checking, 1 secondary checking, and 5 investments. We're not going to bother clearing the receipts and payments yet, since we haven't entered any interest receipts from our bank statements yet. You see there are none in our secondary investments and none under the primary receipts tab. We've got all our mock bank statements together and we're going to page through them to see what interest we have earned for the month and post the interest receipts before we continue with the rest of the bank reconciliation. I'll save the progress I've entered so far and close bank reconciliation. Now to add the interest receipts, I just go to Accounting, Transactions, Receipts, click on the Add button, and choose Interest. I think I'll skip the checking for now and begin with our investment interest, starting with the Star, Ohio statement, since I've already got that open. The first thing that is different with interest receipts is the source is limited to bank accounts that earn interest. In other words, you can't just type in a vendor, you must select an interest-bearing bank account. I'll start with Star, Ohio. The purpose is a white optional field because in most cases it's unnecessary. And the deposit ticket, of course, should be left blank because this is an interest receipt. There is no deposit ticket. Notice the option to reinvest or receipt to primary checking. Our statement shows that interest earned by Star, Ohio is paid to our checking account. So this is the right setting for Buckeye Township. Your entity, however, may have a different arrangement with Star, Ohio. So make sure to set that correctly if you have a Star, Ohio investment. On all interest receipts, the receipt, deposit, and post date should all be the same. It'll always be the date that the interest posted to your bank account or bank statement. So we can backdate it to the date that it posted on our statement. Now in training land, it's in April, and on our statement, it posted to the 31st of March. So we can backdate all 3 dates to March 31st. Below that, our receipt distribution looks a lot different than a standard receipt. It automatically fills the list with several revenue codes. It does so because this is a pooled investment. Pooled investments should be distributed to all funds with a pooled balance based on the percentage of the current pooled cash owed by each fund at the time. UAN will automatically do this for you if you checkmark Distribute Proportionally by Pooled Fund Balances and enter the total interest earned. By the way, you can see this calculation on the Fund Status Report. It's easy to see the same percentage distribution as on the fund status when I type in $100 under the total interest earned for this investment. However, the software will only distribute it according to the law. If you watch the fund accounting and prerequisite videos, you learn that some funds are permitted, not permitted, or conditionally permitted to receive their own interest. Notice the general fund is going to receive the interest for funds not permitted to keep the interest. The pooled balance of these funds earned interest, but the general fund receives it according to law or guidelines outlined in the Uniform Chart of Accounts for each fund. Note for an account code to appear on this list, it must be an active account code in your current chart of accounts. This brings up a common UAN support question. How do I know what fund appropriation codes to use for an interest receipt? Well, it depends on whether the investment is pooled or non-pooled. All checking accounts are pooled cash, so that's easy enough. But this topic is beyond the scope of this video. However, we have other videos for that. Our accounting prerequisite transition videos, class 102, chapters 1 and 3. You'll find that on unlink.ohioauditor.gov under training transition. And you can see them listed there along with a course manual. They're relatively short videos and you can find the section you need to review. Back to Star Ohio. I'll enter the actual interest earned from our statement balance here, and it is $262.12. I'm going to mark remember dates until form closes because I peeked ahead at the other statements and all the interest for our investments posted on March 31st. So that'll save us a little time. Our next statement is CD 151. You can pick it from our list. It's a pooled investment, so again, I'll distribute it and put in the amount, $14.30. Notice the default setting is receipt to primary, which that matches my statement. It's paid to primary. That's not an accident. When the fiscal officer set this up under accounting maintenance investments, he set the default setting according to the actual investment at the bank. If you find that you're having to change yours all the time, then you can go to the maintenance setting for investments and change the default. Our next example is a CD 12345, but notice it's a quarterly statement and there's no interest earned this quarter. The CD is set up to pay interest on the account only upon maturity, so we can simply move on. The next statement is CD 357-146, our Buckeye Festival Trust. We also get a quarterly statement for that, but it is paid and it earns interest quarterly and it's paid to our primary checking. Looks like all of the settings are accurate. This one does look a bit different though, and it's because it's a non-pooled investment. With a non-pooled investment, you're going to only have one account code. Again, check out our prerequisite videos if you're unfamiliar with the pooled and non-pooled. But for now, I'm just going to type in the interest that we earned. Our final investment example is our money market. And this investment is different in that the interest earning is reinvested into the investment account, not paid to the primary checking. We can see on the statement the $139.97 increase the value of the investment. For your investments, make sure you understand where the interest belongs. Also, this has nothing to do with the fund balance distribution. It's simply telling the software which bank account is going to increase with the receipt posting. As we've noted before, the distribution list will determine which fund balances will increase when the receipt is posted. Whoops. So notice the red dots seem terrifying, but I can't save this interest receipt as with a zero amount. So let's go ahead and actually put in the interest earned. Now the red dots remain even after I type it in. It will refresh once I save again. My final account is actually the one I skipped over, our primary checking account. So let's switch to pick our primary checking. On my primary bank statement, I highlighted in yellow all of the interest that we earned from the different investments we have that was paid to our primary checking account. We've already taken care of all of those. All I need to do is enter what was actually earned by our checking account itself, which is the 122.45. I'll click distribute proportionally. Remember, all checking accounts are pooled. Before we save this, I want you to notice reinvest and receipt to primary buttons are grayed out. They're inaccessible, and this is on purpose. This sometimes confuses people. That just simply means it's not relevant for the primary checking account. This receipt will increase the value of the primary checking account. So now I'm ready to close the form, and I will post all at once here. Looks like they all printed it okay. I'll show you the first one. Looks much like a standard receipt. Returning to our bank reconciliation, if I mark that and click Edit to Post, it's going to give me a good message saying that transactions have posted since the bank reconciliation was last saved. Now when I look under primary receipts, I'll be able to find the investment interest that was posted and paid to the primary checking will show up under primary receipts, along with my primary checking account interest earned. And then I will find that money market investment that was reinvested under secondary and investments, and I can clear that there. Well, that about wraps it up for interest receipts. If you haven't already, watch the video on standard and memo receipts. Don't forget to report all of your UEN training for Fiscal Integrity Act credit. Following the Auditor State's guidelines and deadlines on the training